Hey, what's up? I am at my hostel in Peru, in Aguascalientes, which is the town that is closest to Machu Picchu. And it's kind of awkward sitting here because the ceiling's like um, really low. So I've been in Peru for like 3 days, I guess. I don't even know. I flew into Lima after tons of issues with flights being delayed and whatnot. I flew into Lima and I stayed 2 nights at an Airbnb in Lima. And I had kind of like one full day in Lima, and my full day in Lima was pretty lame because I spent the whole morning on the phone with airlines trying to rebook my flights and my train tickets and everything because there was a storm in Dallas, so my one flight got delayed. So all my flights I missed it was a mess. It was totally a mess. And I speak I speak decent Spanish, but on the phone, it is so hard when you're talking to somebody who is really impatient. And I realize I also read lips a lot when I speak Spanish, but for some reason it's fine. Like if I'm talking to like a taxi driver or something, it's totally fine. Like I have no problems. But whenever I have to speak in Spanish to somebody on the phone about reservations or whatever, it's just the hardest thing ever. Like, you know that thing that they make you do where they're like, oh yeah, give the reservation code and then give like an example for every letter. So you have to be like X like xylophone, Y like that kind of a thing. See, I'm not even good at that in English, and it's really hard to do that in Spanish, and people don't understand me. So that was really frustrating. So I spent like half of my day in Lima just on the phone trying to rebook things, and basically what happened was I wasn't able to rebook anything because I booked the absolute cheapest flights, the absolute cheapest everything. So I had like a $150 train fare that was just non-refundable, and it was just a disaster. So finally I gave up. I rebooked my flight to Cusco to go to Machu Picchu. I just bought a new flight, and I just bought a new flight to Chile. It was hundreds of dollars down the drain. Super annoying, but whatever. So I spent like half a day in Lima. I didn't really do anything. I feel bad. I didn't leave the place until 3 p.m. So by then, you know, all the museums are like about to close. I had a really good lunch. Oh my God, it was so good. I had the taxi cab driver. I was like, just take me to like a good restaurant, and he took me to this place in Miraflores that was like great view of the water, and I had ceviche, Peruvian ceviche, which is really different than like Mexican ceviche. It's like this just thick chunks of white fish, and it's like marinated in lime sauce and fish sauce, and then it had these big chunks of corn in it that were not like regular corn. They were like really big pieces of corn, and cilantro and peanuts and other stuff and real other spices and stuff that I hadn't tasted before. I think it might have had cinnamon in it. I don't know. It had some like good, sweet, delicious spice in it. And they didn't give you like chips or tortillas or anything with it, like tortilla chips or saltines, anything with it. You just eat it by itself. But it was so good, it really didn't need anything, because that's how good it was. And so I had a big bowl of that, and then I had lomo saltado, which is another like Peruvian dish. Oh my God, it was really good. It was like chunks of steak over a bed of French fries with avocado and vegetables. It was like marinated in soy sauce and other stuff, and there's like a side of rice. Oh, it was really good. Then I just kind of hung out for the rest of the day. I went shopping a little bit. I needed to buy a sweater. I didn't bring a hoodie. I don't really have a hoodie that I like. I kind of needed to buy a new one anyways. And I've just been freezing, kind of, since I got here. Mostly because the first place I went to, and this is common in Peru, they didn't have any kind of heating in the house. But what's weird, and I've noticed this is true in Spain too. This is like a cultural thing. They leave the windows and the doors open in the winter. It's winter right now in Peru. It's cold. I mean, it's like at night it gets down to like the 40s, 30 degrees. It's cold. They leave the windows open and they wear their coats inside. And I'm like, why don't you just, I mean, I get like they don't have heating because it's expensive, but just close the window. I don't understand. So my place where I was staying, like all the doors and all the windows were open. It was so cold. My room was so cold. So I was kind of dying. So I was like, all right, I have like my lightweight zip up, but I really need like a cozy, oversized something. So I got this. So happy. I'm so glad I got this. And it has a hood, which was really nice on the train yesterday when I was freezing my butt off. I had a hood to wear. And yeah, so I kind of walked around. I like shopped a little bit. I kind of just walked around and talked to people, which like I talked to people at the stores. Like, I don't know, people here are really nice. So it was actually really fun just walking around kind of central area in Lima and just chatting with people. Everyone was really nice. I had like some decent, like good conversations with people. And then I stopped at a bar and the bartender was really cool. His name's Jose. I ended up talking to Jose for like 3 whole hours. I think I distracted him a little bit because the poor guy is like trying to work, but it was pretty slow. There wasn't really much to do. I talked to Jose for like 3 hours and it was cool. He's really cool. We had a good conversation and then I went to like, yeah, so I just like, I kind of like wandered around and talked to people and then I went back to my my hotel like at like 10 p.m. and then I got up at 5 and I had my personalized cab driver pick me up. The guy who drove me from the airport to my hotel was really really nice. His name was Savino, and I had a good conversation with Savino. He was really cool. He was like, "Why aren't you traveling with a boyfriend?" And I was like, "Well, last time I did that, you know, it did not work out so well." And I told him that story, and he got a kick out of it. He thought it was hilarious. My ex left me for a Mexican tourist in in Spain. He thought it was hilarious. He went on like a 10-minute rant and he was like, why do men leave their girlfriends? Is she better looking than you? No. Is she kinder than you? No. And he like went on this huge rant. It was really funny. So yeah, he was nice. So I asked him to pick me up and take me back to the airport. I had a flight and I landed in Cusco at like 10 a.m. or something, and then I took a cab to Ollantaytambo, and that was like a 2-hour ride. It was such a beautiful ride, but I was so tired I kept falling asleep. I kept trying to stay awake so I could take pictures because it was really beautiful, but I kept falling asleep, so I didn't really get to see the beautiful Peruvian countryside like I wanted to. Cusco is so much cooler than Lima. Lima's like a big ugly city, and Cusco, the second I got off the plane, it was like amazing, mountains everywhere, just gorgeous, beautiful. I love Cusco. I wish I wanted to just spend the whole time in Cusco, but the big airport's in Lima, so I got to spend some time in Lima too. Cusco's gorgeous. So Ollantaytambo, I got to spend all day yesterday in Ollantaytambo because my cab got to Ollantaytambo at like 12 p.m. and then my train for Aguascalientes, where Machu Picchu is, wasn't scheduled to depart until 9 p.m., although it didn't actually depart until 11 p.m. And so I had the whole day to spend in Ollantaytambo, which is great because I read online that Ollantaytambo is really beautiful, like underrated, kind of like a really pretty place to hang out. It is. It was really nice to spend the day there. And the town where Machu Picchu isn't really much of a cool place to hang out. Like, it's really touristic, and it's basically just hotels and overpriced restaurants. So I'm really glad that I got to spend the day in Ollantaytambo, and it's just gorgeous. I mean, it's like this little town in the mountains, and the second I got out of the cab, I was just like, wow, it is so pretty here. And people there are really nice, and I didn't really know what there was to see, so I kind of like, just like walking around, and then I turned a corner, and then I was like, oh my God, there's like this big ruins site in Ollantaytambo, and I was like, I didn't even know that was there. Like, I hadn't even read about it online. It was like huge, like ancient ruins. Gorgeous, amazing, beautiful. So I paid the entrance ticket. Oh my God, and I'm spending so much money. It's ridiculous. I paid the entrance ticket. It was like $20 to get in. And then this lady came up and asked if I wanted a tour, and I kind of like bartered with her a little bit. And I was like, she seemed like really nice, and like she probably knew. She's from there. She probably knew a lot of information that I would find interesting. So I was like, all right. So it was like another $20 to have the tour or something like that. And, but it was really cool. So I had like a 2-hour tour with this lady who's from Ollantaytambo, and, I learned so much, and I'm really glad that I had the tour because I kind of Googled Ollantaytambo after I had the tour to read more about the history, and everything online was like the history of Ollantaytambo starting with when it was conquered in 1500 by some other Incan ruler, and then when after the Spanish like arrived. I'm like, oh, that's funny, because all the history she told me was like before 1500. Like all the history she told me was about actually the native people of Ollantaytambo and like what all the structures were for. It was really interesting. There was Sheila's. There's these beautiful like giant temples that they built, and there were all sorts of different rock that they used. And we're standing on this giant mountain, and she like points at this volcanic volcano mountain like miles away, you know, like way over, like just can kind of see it in the horizon. She's like, oh yeah, and that's where they got the rock. And I'm like, wait a minute, you're telling me that over 1,000 years ago, they got rock from like 3 miles away? I'm like, did they use horses? Like, how on earth did they get these giant pieces of rock from miles and miles away and get them over here? And she was like, oh, they just rolled them. They like rolled them down the hills, and they had like belts and stuff that they used, and it was just like hundreds of people all rolling the rock together. I'm like, wow. It was really impressive, all the stuff that they built. So I did that, and then she told me about the best restaurant in Ollantaytambo was something Veronica or something, I don't know. So I went there. It was a nice restaurant, really pretty, and it had a really cool view. So I was like, okay, cool, I'll eat here. And I had alpaca, which it's one of their traditional dishes here. They eat a lot of alpaca, and they eat a lot of guinea pig. And I haven't tried guinea pig yet, but I will. I like, you know, I'll eat anything, whatever. I felt like a tiny bit bad eating alpaca because they're so cute, but not that bad. It was really delicious. So I had some alpaca and like some pumpkin soup. It was really good. And I just like hung out in the town for a few hours. I walked around. There were really cool shops there. I'm like trying so hard not to shop. It's hard though. I bought this hat. This hat is also made from alpaca wool, and I needed a hat. I actually lost my hat in the Florida airport, in the Fort Lauderdale airport. I left my hat there, so I bought a new hat, and this is good because I am really cold, and I kind of look like Waldo in a hat now that my hair is short. But whatever. This is like the warmest, nicest hat I've ever owned. I'm talking too much. Yep, that's pretty much it. That's all that happened. I came back. I finally got to the hostel at like 1 a.m. And the hostel here is really nice. I'm the only one in the room right now, but when I got here, the other girls were awake too, which I was glad I didn't wake anyone up. There were some girls from Brazil who were here, and one of them didn't speak English, and I was really excited to be like, oh, I speak Portuguese, and that's always fun. But it reminded me that my Portuguese is really rusty, and I need to practice before I show up in Brazil, at least a tiny bit. I need to do some Duolingo or something. Everyone who speaks Portuguese is really nice. They were like, oh, your Portuguese is so good. I'm like, thanks. No, it's not. It was pretty rough. But that was cool that I was able to talk to her. And yeah, that's pretty much it. So now I'm just waiting to go to Machu Picchu. I'm super excited. I need to get on the bus in like 20 minutes or something, and then I'm going to spend like 6 hours at Machu Picchu. I guess you go from 12 to 6. I waited until the last minute to buy my tickets for everything, and it was absolutely fine. I just bought my ticket to Machu Picchu like 20 minutes ago, and it was absolutely fine. I didn't have to wait in line or anything. So everybody else, like a ton of people went. There's like, you can go starting it from 6 to 12, or you can go from 12 to 6, I guess. And I was like, why would I want to go at 6 a.m. when I could go at 12 p.m.? That's the only thing I'm doing all day, so I don't know. People kept asking me if I was going early, and I'm like, no, why would I do that? I don't know. Maybe there's something I don't know, but everybody seemed to be wanting to go in the early morning, and I'm like, I could just go at 12 p.m. I could sleep in, and then, meander over to the station and buy my tickets, and so that's what I did. Yeah, so that's it. I probably talk too much. If you watch this whole thing, let me know. I will be very impressed.